Hey everyone, Wombat here, and today I'm going to be explaining a special kind of Beyblade battle called deck rotation format, or just deck format for short. This kind of battle is used in the final stage of WBO official tournaments, so in the top 4 or the top 8 in an event with 17 players or more. Instead of each player only using one combo for the entire battle and playing first to 3 points, deck rotation has each player using 3 combos, which they swap out during certain parts of the battle. This type of battle is also played first to 5 points. While players are allowed to use 3 Beyblades in their deck, none of these Beyblades are allowed to share any parts, with the exception of normal face bolts, normal god chips, and chrome wheels when they're synchroned with one another in one combo. So for example, you aren't allowed to have 3 heavies in one deck. In deck format, you are allowed up to 2 launchers, one for each spin direction. Of course, if your deck only uses one spin direction, then you're only allowed one launcher. Using the dual spin launcher that come with Gravity Perseus or Legend Spriggan in both right and left spin counts as your launcher for both spin directions. However, if you use a dual spin launcher with a single spin one, you're only allowed to use the opposite spin mode of your single spin launcher. So for example, if you're using the right spin string launcher as your launcher for right spinning Beyblades, you'd only be allowed to use the dual spin launcher in left spin. Now that you know the basics of deck construction, I'm going to walk through a sample deck rotation match and also cover other important rules like point values, rematches, and switching. So in this battle we'll have player 1 who's using Victory Valkyrie Knuckle Extreme, Gigant Gaia Gravity Unite, and Odin Yell Revolve, and player 2 who's using Lost Longinus 2 Glaive Hold, Drain Fafnir Polish Atomic, and Excalibur Heavy Extreme. After finalizing their decks, the players present them to the opponent on either side of the stadium. When both players are done inspecting their opponent's combos, they turn and select their first combo in secret. In a deck rotation battle, outspins are worth 1 point, meaning that player 2 is at 1 point and player 1's at 0. After a round ends, the loser is allowed to request a rematch. This means that both players have to use the same combos and play the same matchup in the next round. This doesn't affect the outcome of the last round, so player 2 is still up 1-0. In the event of a draw, whether it's a double burst, double KO, or double outspin, the round is just redone, with no one gaining any points. If the loser declines the rematch, the winner is then given the option to switch their Beyblade. If they choose to do so, they must reveal the Beyblade they switched to the loser. The loser then decides whether they want to switch Beyblades as well. Unlike a normal battle, in deck format, KOs are worth 2 points, meaning that player 1 has tied up the score at 2-2. Player 2 declines the rematch, player 1 stays with Victory Valkyrie, and then player 2 switches out to Lost Longinus to counter. In the event of a non-contact KO, the player whose Beyblade is still in the stadium is awarded 1 point. The score is now 3-3. Player 1 declines the rematch, player 2 declines the switch, decides to stay with Lost Longinus, and player 1 switches out to Odin Yell Revolve. The score is now 4-3 with player 1 in the lead. Player 2 declines the rematch, so player 1 switches out to their Gigant Gaia combo and shows it to player 2, who responds by countering with Drain Fafnir. Score is now tied at 4-4. Player 1 declines the rematch, player 2 decides to stay with Drain Fafnir, and player 1 decides to switch out to Victory Valkyrie. Similarly to KOs, bursts are worth 2 points in deck format even if they're non-contact. So that's game, with player 2 winning 6-4, and as you can see, though player 2's deck had 3 Beyblades, Excalibur was never used, meaning that you aren't required to use all 3 Beyblades in the match. So just as a quick recap of the deck format rules, each player can use 3 Beyblades with no repeated parts, and 1 launcher per spin direction. Matches are played first to 5 points with outspins and non-contact KOs counting for 1 point, and normal KOs and bursts counting for 2. After a round ends, the loser can request a rematch, but if they don't, the winner and then the loser have the opportunity to swap out their current Beyblade. So that's all folks for this deck rotation tutorial. I hope you found it informative, and if you liked it, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. XD.